Hey everybody, my name is Josh Fakir, and I want to thank you for joining me on another timeout. So on this midweek motivation, I want to talk to you about the art of imagining. The art of imagining. This is something that people put into place, and it helps them to be relentless when they're going after something. You see, our imagination is something that we can overlook sometimes. We may not see it as a quality that helps us to make our dreams a reality. Some people push it off to the side thinking it's wasted time. But what if I told you that there's clinical studies that shows that if you are able to imagine those things that you want to do in life, that there's a stronger probability that you can actually make it a reality. Studies can show and prove this, and I'll tell you about one in just a moment. So, I have a question for you. How often do you stop and imagine yourself doing something in life that you really want to do? I'm not saying knowing what you want to do, that's the first thing, but how often do you stop and see yourself doing it? How often do you see yourself graduating or walking across the stage? How often do you see yourself purchasing that home or getting that certification or maybe even getting a job or starting your business? How often do you just lay down and just see it? There's a connection that's made when you are able to do it. Albert Einstein, he says it like this: your imagination, and it's a preview to life's coming attractions. I say it like this: your imagination precedes manifestation. Meaning, at times, you can go after something that may seem so unrealistic to other people. But for you, you gotta see it before you can see it. If you can see it, then you'll go after it and you'll see it with your own eyes. You see, think about it this way. Have you ever been in a position where you are trying to find a place to live, whether you're going to be renting a place or maybe purchasing a place? And so you're connected now with a real estate agent or some leasing office, and now there's property or an available unit now for you to go and see. And so as you're there at this showing and you're looking at this unit or you're looking at this house, have you ever noticed in all of your occurrences when you've moved that there's often a question that is asked of you by that leasing agent, by that realtor? They may say, can you see yourself living here? They'll ask that, can you see yourself living here? And suddenly your imagination starts to kick in. And all of a sudden you start seeing how you're gonna furnish the place. I'm gonna set up my couch to where I can put it against this wall and the TV over here. Or I'm gonna put my dining table right here. Or maybe in your bedroom, you start to imagine, say, if I put my headboard against this wall, then maybe I can all of a sudden the place is fully furnished where it was once empty. But in your mind, it's fully furnished, because once your imagination kicks in, all of a sudden, it's settled in your mind that this is the house for me. This is the unit that I want to rent. Once that happens, all of a sudden, there's nothing that can stop you, and you'll do whatever you can to make it happen. That's the power of imagination. In December of 2018, there was a study that was published on Science Daily, and it was performed by the University of Colorado. And research concluded that your imagination is a neurological reality that can impact your mind and body in ways that matter for your well-being. This was stated and quoted by the research director. And what they found, that even with patients who suffered from anxieties and suffered from phobias, they were able to overcome those obstacles simply by using their imagination. Have you ever seen it? Someone who was afraid of spiders, they say, I want you to close your eyes and imagine yourself holding a spider. Because if you can imagine yourself holding that spider and that spider's not harming you, the next step would be to actually get close to a spider until eventually you're holding a spider, and all of a sudden your phobia or your fear of spiders have suddenly subsided. But it started with your imagination. And they had enough studies, enough samples of people who were able to either overcome something or achieve something simply by using their imagination. Your imagination is everything. The art of imagining can help you to get past a portion in your life where you feel stagnant. There's going to be times where you feel like you're not moving. You see, the thing about it is, it's easy to be motivated when there's momentum. But how do you stay motivated when there's no movement? At that point, even physically, if you feel stuck in your mind, you got to keep going. Imagine that you're still going. Imagine that you're still achieving that thing. Imagine that you have achieved it and you're walking in it. You're living in it. You're driving in it. You're making that much money. You're operating that business. Your imagination is what keeps your heartbeat going to your mind and to your hope. Don't stop imagining. Let me tell you, we've learned how to implement this in our own life. I remember when my wife and I, Sue-Ann, we were looking to purchase our first home. And we were going through that process, and it was a tedious process. And at times it was discouraging. But then we started to stop and imagine. So much so till we started talking different. If you didn't know us, you would have thought we were crazy. You see, we sold a lot of the things we had. We left our apartment that we were renting, and by the grace of Sue's parents, my in-laws, we moved in with them in their house in order to position ourselves to buy. But we could be sitting there, and just for fun, we would include the kids and just start imagining. And I'll say, you know what? I'm gonna go downstairs to the kitchen to get something to drink. Does anybody need anything? Mind you, my wife's parents lived in a one-story home. In fact, from our room, we can see the kitchen. But just for fun, I would say, because we knew we wanted a two-story home, I would say, I'm going downstairs to get something to drink. Does anybody want anything? And everybody was like, no, I'm good. No, I'm good. My wife would say, well, you know what? While you're down there, can you take the stuff out of the washing machine and put it in the dryer? Mind you, the actual washroom is right around the corner. But we just began to talk in a manner where we were imagining that what we wanted was already a reality. And so soon, and what that does for you, it helps you to stay focused on your dream and to be specific in what you want. I'm telling you, specificity is important because it helps you to narrow down what it is that you want, and it won't allow you to compromise. When you're specific about what you want, there's no room for compromise. And I'll tell you, it wasn't long until we were actually having those conversations in our two-story home. We purchased our home, it was 2 stories, and we actually had to go downstairs to get something to drink. I started to have second thoughts. Did we really need a 2-story home? But let me tell you, it was so, empowering. And it was so fulfilling to see it come to life. And those conversations we used to have just in our imaginations, just amongst ourselves, imagining, became a conversation that we begin to have in real life. Don't tell me there's no power in imagining. Because the moment that you begin to temper your expectation, let me tell you what bothers me. When people say things like, don't let your imagination run wild, then what's the point of imagining? This is the only world that you can live in and think about where people can't put their doubts on your dream. So it's your imagination. Use it the way you want to use it. If you believe that you'll be the first millionaire in your family and you can imagine it, guess what? Some people's lives started that way. Some people were the first person in their family to graduate from college. Some people were the first person in their family to purchase a home. Some people not only purchased a home for themselves, but they purchased a home for their parents. And because they had enough audacity to imagine it. I'm telling you, you can use the art of imagining to your benefit. It's something we do anyways. You cannot look back on just today, and try to think about how many times you've imagined something, because it's something we do naturally. The difference is some people learned how to use it intentionally to their advantage. That's the art of imagining. Start sitting down and just say, okay, these are my goals. Now let me imagine myself living there, smelling this fresh air, standing on my brand new backyard of this new build. I'm going to just imagine myself walking across the stage and my family sitting down in the auditorium chanting my name because they knew how hard it was to get to this point. Start imagining, because it puts a fire inside of you that says, you know what, I'm going to go after it. I don't care what people say. I don't care what statistics that somebody wants to throw at me. If nobody in my family did it before, I'll just be the first. I want you to start using your imagination to your benefit, because I'm telling you, we were told that you couldn't purchase a home. We were told that it's going to be a struggle. Only one of you can be on the loan. Only this and only that. The amount of things people told us where it used to discourage us until we got behind closed doors and we begin to imagine it. We begin to go back whenever we had a stressful day and we look at our vision board and say, nope, we're not going to stop here. We're going to keep going. You got to have a why, and then you got to be able to imagine it, because what happens, this is what happens. It starts with you imagining it. Then you begin to talk different. And then you begin to put actions or into motion that's going to complement what you've been saying, which is going to complement what you've been imagining. It starts with your imagination. That's why Albert Einstein says imagination is everything. It's a preview to life's coming attractions. And that's why your very own says that your imagination precedes manifestation. So when it comes to the things that you want to do, how often do you stop to imagine it? How often you don't always go to people for their advice and ask them if they think it's possible. What do you think? Do you think it's impossible? Do you think it's possible? Can you imagine yourself doing it? Think about it, the things that you want to accomplish in your life. Just start to take time to imagine yourself doing it. Because I promise you, there's people who's doing this intentionally to keep themselves focused and not compromise on what they want and what they truly believe in life. My kids were able to see this thing happen and work for us. It's by faith. It was by faith. Faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. So just because we couldn't see it doesn't mean we can't see it. We can see it in our minds, and eventually we were able to see it with our eyes and walking it and living it. Now we're talking like this now again. It's on to our second house. We need something bigger now. When we moved into our first house, we had 2 kids. We have 4 kids now. We need something bigger. And so now guess what? We're imagining again. We're talking again. If you can call it talking crazy if you want to. I just know what happens the moment you open your mouth. Life and death is in the power of the tongue. I know what happens when you begin to believe and speak what you believe and imagine it and then put actions into motion to complement it. There's nothing that can stop you. The moment you settle it in your mind, that is going to happen. All right, so I hope that helps you. That's today's timeout. I've seen it work in my own life. There's testimonies all over the place. Go after what you want in life. You can do it. You can accomplish it. You can accomplish it. You have everything it takes. You are equipped with what's necessary to do the thing that you need to do and fulfill the dreams you have. There's a reason why you have that passion. It's not there for no reason. It's what you were meant to do. It's what you were called to do. Now go ahead and let it out. And remember to think about it on a daily basis. God bless you, and I thank you for joining me on Time Out.